Hello everybody, I just had a little drink of water here. This is Douglas Bloch. It is Valentine's Day 2018, all over the world. I was told by my partner today, Joan, that billions of dollars are spent on greeting cards and chocolate and all sorts of other things, making Valentine's Day a very profitable holiday for the chocolate industry and for the greeting card industry. So, have you guys said hello to your Valentines? Do you have a Valentine? What's the state of love in your life? You know what I think? That human connection and love are really important factors in healing from depression. And so we'll talk about that here, and we'll answer any of your questions on mental health recovery. It is January, what am I saying? It's February 14th, 2018. I was talking last week at the beginning of well, first I want to mention a new video I have called How to Express Anger in a Healthy Way. Hey, Never Ever, nice to see you. Tell me where you are, what part of the world you live in. Is it the UK, is it the United States? I'm not quite sure. Anyway, so this Monday video I just uploaded was called How to Express Your Anger in a Healthy Way. I start with the old cliche, oh, nice birdie at my bird feeder. Is depression anger turned inwards? And the answer to that question is sometimes yes. Woody Allen once said, I don't get angry, I just grow tumors. That was a joke, but what he meant by that was that when anger is turned inward and not expressed healthily, it can lead to all sorts of physical and emotional problems. USA, Never Ever. What part of the USA? We're getting close here. Yeah, hopefully, well, probably my viewers from the UK, it's 8 p.m. in the UK, 12 p.m. here at Portland, Oregon. You're probably going out Valentine's Day with your sweethearts. Hey, Claire from the UK. I was just saying that are you doing anything Valentine's Day, especially Claire? Have any person you're fond of, whether it's a friend or a partner or anything like that? Utah. Hey, you're only 1 hour away. Never Ever. What part of Utah? We're getting really closer. Salt Lake City. Have you seen the Mormon Tabernacle Choir? They're supposed to be pretty good. So, yes, how to express anger in a healthy way. So a lot of people with depression don't really have a good outlet for their anger. Oftentimes they were yelled at, criticized as children, and they couldn't really fight back, so they just internalized it. You know, one of the symptoms of depression is feelings of worthlessness and guilt and self-reproach and self-loathing. That is definitely anger turned inwards. So one of the commenters on my YouTube channel said, take up boxing, beat the crap out of a boxing bag. It's funny he mentioned that because when I joined my men's group in 2003, the very first night there was a guy there who really had a lot of anger towards his partner, and he just went to that boxing bag and hit the crap out of it, and he felt so much better afterwards. TJ Roberts, nice to see you. Never Ever is in Utah. Truth Seeker 1515, hi. Claire from the UK, what are you guys doing for Valentine's Day? Or are you even acknowledging that it is Valentine's Day? Do you have somebody special in your life, or even just a friend, or even, you know, a child or a parent who you want to express your love to? So feel free to answer your questions. We are 3 minutes and 50 seconds into the live chat on Valentine's Day 2018. So 56 miles north of Salt Lake City. Well, you know, it's funny. I have a friend who lives right where you live. I have to find out. His name is Philip. He's in the suburb of Salt Lake City, really likes it. He's a big skier into real estate. He moved there from Portland, Oregon, certainly likes the sunshine better. How do you like living in Utah? Were you raised there? Just you, Claire? Well, it's not just you. You've got 13 other people you can chat with right now. And by the way, have any of you know about our friend Greg Sandler? He has a wonderful online support group. It's got about 13 people. You just have to download something called Telegram. And if you want to join his group, I'll give you his email address right now. Sometimes he bops in at the end of the chats. Whoops, let me get this over here. Okay, have to get into, there we are. It's called HELOO. I'm greg@gmail.com. So give him an email. Ask him if you want to join. If any of you feel isolated, you can join his online support group. It's really cool. What do you guys think about anger and the healthy expression of anger and depression? So it turns out that 3 ways you can express your anger. One is to stuff it, like my father did, become a doormat, let people walk over you, internalize it, which is what a lot of people with depression do. The other thing is to do the exact opposite. Thanks, we'll have a nosy. I'm not quite sure what nosy means, but anyway, by the way, how is the sound here? We've been having some issues with it. No one's complaining about it. Fire Soggy, hi, thanks for your reply to my message in one of your YouTube videos. Yes, I don't remember what it was. Can you remind me? I don't think I've seen your name on the live chat. Anyway, welcome, welcome, welcome. Sorry, have a look, LOL. Well, all right. Truth Seeker, 1515, really been difficult. My mother never recovered from her bipolar manic high. She's unable to eat or drink, could not swallow, open up her eyelids. Oh, she died at Christmas. Oh, wow. I'm sorry to hear that. Well, I hope it was a somewhat peaceful passing, and you know, you can still communicate with her on the other side. You know, say your prayers and think of her, send her positive light. She's in transition. Farragasy, it gave me a lot of strength to move on after my clinically depressed and anxiety husband left 8 months ago. Wow, that's, you know, the #1 cause of depression, I say, is loss of love, loss of connection. So that must have been hard for you, even though he was depressed and anxious. At least you don't have to deal with that stress. But so how are you recovering right now? It has been 8 months. Maybe have you reached out, joined a grief group, done anything else to find connection? So again, getting back to anger. So the second way is the exact opposite way of passively. It's being aggressive, lashing out at people, you know, yelling at them, being abusive physically, emotionally, or verbally. Not a good idea. Hey, hi Doug and everyone. I forgot my headphones, so I can't listen really well. Did you see, hello, I'm Greg, that I went ahead and typed your email earlier in the chat? Because Greg in Philadelphia has a wonderful online support group. Some of my clients are in that group, and people really get a lot of benefit. Dave Pickell and a gal named Jessie, a lot of people really are liking that chat group that Greg has put together. How can you not be able to open your eyelids? Can you reach such a level of depression? I'm not quite sure. Truth Seeker, you'll have to ask the person who mentioned that. Well, that's you who mentioned it. I don't know. Maybe she was very physically sick, which is why she couldn't open up her eyelids. So I don't know the answer to that, but I'm sorry your mother passed away, and I'll say prayers for her this evening. So, any other questions? Please, that's what we're here for, answering your questions, creating community. Okay, so the second way to express anger is to be aggressive and lash out. Not a good idea. And the third way is the way of being assertive. I talk about this in the video. There's a book called Your Perfect Right, very famous book on assertiveness training. So when you're assertive, you don't stuff your anger, you don't lash out, you basically set boundaries and keep control. Germani, you have a question. Go ahead and ask it. Anyway, so a good example is someone steps on your toe. Instead of, you know, standing still and taking the pain or yelling, you jerk, get the hell out of here, you politely say, you're standing on my toe, it's causing me pain, could you please, you know, back off or get off my toe, and I really appreciate it. So you're stating your request, you're setting a boundary, but you're not being overly aggressive, neither are you stuffing your anger or letting yourself remain a victim. I will watch later. Let me know if you're able to get in the chat. Doug, yes, I was able to get in your chat yesterday. Thank you. Although I don't know how I get back to it, though. I always have to click on the link you sent me. That's sort of a little bit annoying. I'm not quite sure how I get to that link without it being in my text. You might want to tell me that. So, Germanji, you have a question. Let me know what it is. I'd be happy to answer it. Anyway, well, I'll keep talking about my video on anger, anger management, if no one has a question. Oh, here it is. I was in a relationship with someone who I believe was clinically depressed for a year. Does the depressed person have to want to get better? That is a critical question. Giramon, I can't quite pronounce your name, but yes, there's a chapter in my book, Healing from Depression, and it is called I don't know if you can read that, probably not. It's called Setting the Intention to Heal. The first step in mental health recovery. Until a person decides they want to get better, until they decide that they want recovery, even if they don't know how, nothing can change. It's just like the alcoholic who wants to stop drinking. The only condition for someone to go to an AA meeting is a sincere desire to stop drinking. The only condition for somebody joining one of my depression support groups is a sincere desire to feel better and to do something about it. So yes, 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 you're absolutely right. The person has to want to get better. Olga Schmidt, I like poisoning my body with meds. Do you think anxiety can be cured without meds? I don't think anxiety can be cured, period, but it can be managed, and it can be managed without meds. There are many books on the subject. You should go listen to a video of mine called How to Rewire Your Anxious Brain. I'll type it in. It's my most popular video. And I give you non-medication ways of dealing with anxiety. There's exercise, deep breathing, cold water. Anyway, the name of this video is called How to Rewire Your Anxious Brain. And there you have it. Check out that video. And One Claire Lou, nice to see you again. Hello, Pearly Bonda. Having a hellish time here, Doug. Can you give some words of inspiration to keep going? Yeah, here's my words of inspiration. When going, whoopsie daisy. Yeah, going through hell. Don't S-T-O-P. When going through hell, don't stop. Things will get better. They will improve. Nothing stays the same with it forever. The only law of the universe is impermanence. Germani, he seems to avoid or not want to get better. Doesn't seek or want help. It's just we have to wait until he's ready. Yes, absolutely true. You have to wait till he's ready. Until a person is ready, you can't help them at all. I've had that happen in my support groups. Someone comes, they decide not to stay. I can't make them stay in the support group. I can't make them want to get better or get well. So that's just the way it is. Pearly Bonda says, One Claire Lou, God is with you. Don't give up. Everything shall pass. If you need anything, I'm here for you. That's very, very nice. Thank you for that inspiration for One Claire Lou. Appreciate that, Burley Bonda. Scott Bauer says, hello, Douglas. I made it today. Yes, you did. Good for you. Here's Constantate Agenwald. I haven't heard from you before. How can we stop thinking of the past and move forward with the future? Wow. Yeah, that's called rumination. That is a key point. There is a medication called Luvox, L-U-V-O-X, that is excellent at helping people stop obsessing and ruminating. Otherwise, you just have to notice that every time you're looking towards the past, you say cancel, cancel, breathe, focus on the here and now, and just distract yourself. It's a mind training, and it's easy. It's not easy, especially depressed people tend to ruminate and dwell in the past. Aladdin Fox, I have been tied to many. Tried many Hornate for clinical depression and a half for 40 years and believe nothing could change the situation. I'm not quite sure what you're saying, Aladdin Fox, but the situation can change, believe me. It has. Hey, Dorothy Hughes, haven't heard from you for a while. Hi, Douglas, I've been not been in contact for a long time. I've been in a psychiatric hospital for the last few months. Wow, but finding transitions back home difficult. Any suggestions? Really appreciated. Dorothy, how did you stay for a few months? Usually they kick you out after 5 days. Yes, go to an outpatient program and join a support group and try to do some volunteer work. Try to do something that will get you involved and out of the house. Did you hear about the 3 principles by Sydney Banks? Yes, it's hard to I heard this. Understand these principles can cure any mental condition. Well, I'm a little bit skeptical. I know what the 3 conditions are. One of my clients is working with them. I think they're good. I forgot the exact 3. I think it's a good form of cognitive therapy. I don't think it can cure any mental condition. That's a little bit extreme. You have to be very practical. One time in my breakdown, prayer cured it. Another time I needed to get electroconvulsive therapy. It's different for everyone at every time. Everybody has their own unique way to access healing. And so the 3 principles by Sydney Banks are certainly a wonderful spiritual path. They work for some people, but there's not one thing that works for everybody. Pearl Abanda says, I've been through lots of stuff. I'm doing better. I like to help people. Please let them know that it shall pass even if your mind tells you it won't get any better. Olga Schmidt, it's basically to understand the thoughts are in you. You let them pass without paying attention. Yes, you're absolutely right, Olga Schmidt. That's what they do in Buddhism. You watch the thoughts go by like leaves going down a river or clouds going overhead. That's right. You don't attach yourself to your thoughts. You just observe them. So, yes, he's got a good system, Sydney Banks, and it's also taught in Buddhism. And this is a universal principle. Concentrated Agon World. How do we gain respect and truth from others? Oh my God. That's $1 million question. I'm not quite sure. You just have to, if you want to gain respect, you have to give respect. If you want to gain truth, you have to tell the truth. Pearlie Bonda gives her phone number, 1-918-282-5420, and her email address. So Claire, Lou, call Perla and email her anytime you want. Scott Barros, I've had a thought that has been bothering me for a while. What is the difference between distraction and avoidance, and how can you tell when distraction is crossed to avoidance? Well, avoiding what? I mean, I consider distraction, instead of sitting around being obsessed with your own thoughts, going out and focusing on something outside of yourself, like going out to eat with a friend or going to a movie, taking you outside of your inner world of torment. The prison of self, as Martha Manning says. So avoidance is like you should go to the gym, but you don't go to the gym. You should go to group, you don't go to group. You should take your meds, you don't take your meds. That's avoidance. But distraction is refocusing your attention away from the pain. So there's the difference. Concentrate Agon World. I'm not quite sure what your name means, but you're welcome. Don't worry about whether people love yourself, right? And you're getting better first. Well, that's Pearlie Bonda. You have words of wisdom, considering the fact you're really in a bad place a couple of months ago. That shows that recovery is possible. Just to remind you guys that to support this channel, and many of you have already contributed, I have something called Patreon. You go to www.patreon.com. Go there, type in my name, and you will be able to, for as little as $2 a month, become a sustaining member of this channel. And there's also the little super chat button down here in the lower left. If you want to contribute $1 or $2, as Cade and Arcade Cup often do. They're not here today, but maybe somebody can step up to the plate and substitute for them and make a contribution to the channel. It's pretty simple. Farasagi, am I enabling my husband's depression by not asking him for maintenance? I don't know what you mean by maintenance. You have to be clear to me. You want to continue to encourage your husband to seek treatment. Definitely, for sure. Yes, I'm doing better, says Pearlie Bonda. Thank you, Douglas. I will join your Patreon group soon. You're more than welcome. Have you ever heard of Dr. Claire Leaks and her books, which were written in the 60s? Yes, I hear she's very good. A couple of my clients have told me that. Does she write books on anxiety? Let me know what the subject matter is. But yes, I have heard from her, and I've heard from good things about her. Dorothy, how did you manage to stay in the hospital for a number of months? That's not possible here in the States. Were you getting treatment like ECT? Or, did you think it was helpful being there that long? Let me know what your experience was. I'd really like to know about it. Well, it's time for a joke. I was listening to the nightly business report here in the United States, and the Republicans have passed some tax cuts, and a lot of businesses are benefiting. So one of the things that the commentator said is The world of private jets, in terms of those businesses that sell private jets, have taken off. She didn't even know she was making a pun. Get it? Maintenance and financial help for a baby. Yeah, I mean, if he has a child, I mean, they call that child support in the United States. If your husband or your partner has a child, and of course he or she should give financial support. I mean, I don't know if you have any legal agreements. Scott Barris, the thing I was getting at is you could use distraction as a means to avoid facing problems. But as you say, you can trust yourself when you're depressed not to unconsciously sabotage yourself. Yeah. Well, again, if you sit around on the internet all day and don't go to your support group or go to the gym, that's distraction as a means of avoidance. You're right. But the question is, when you're doing your so-called distraction, is it taking you away from something you need to do? Then it's avoidance. If it's not, then it's a positive thing. Pearly Bennett, any time, concentrate, I can world. I'm here whenever you need me. I was in a very bad place. I was homeless with my kids for 2 days. Depression, panic attacks, you will get better, you'll see. Thank you for being encouragement. David says, Scott, don't use it distraction, face it head on. Well, Dave Piquel, you're back again from Vancouver. You should come down to Portland sometime and join one of our groups. No one laughed at my joke, so I'll have to tell another joke. There was a Catholic elementary school, and they were trying to promote children to eat more healthfully, so they had the apples at the very beginning of the lunch line, but they only had a limited amount. So there was a sign that a nun had written, said, "Children, just take 1 apple apiece, God is watching." Now at the very end of the line, there was a bowl of cookies, and another child wrote, "Take as many of these cookies as you want. God is watching the apples." That's courtesy of Joel Osteen. Speaking of which, where's Daniel Cade from Houston? She always likes to join these chats, although I've heard that her sleeping has been off. Just had a friend visit me, the best antidepressant. Yes, it is, Dave Piquel. The best antidepressant is having people visit you, absolutely. Well, more questions are always appreciated. So getting back to my conversation about anger based on the video I just posted. So again, 3 ways to express anger: stuff it, get aggressive, or be assertive, the middle way. As the Buddhists say, the middle way is always the best. Yeah, recycling your jokes. Well, you have any good one? I have one MQs, if so. I'm not quite sure what Germandi says. Do you have a joke? Tell it, my friend. I don't know if I want to recover 50 years of depression, says Never Ever. I've tried everything. I'm just taking care of myself. Too scared to commit suicide, just waiting to die. Well, I'm really sorry to hear that. Is there anything that you can do? Why don't you go join Greg Sandler's a chat group? That would be really helpful to be at any time. Any time of the day, 24 hours a day, you can check in with other people. You don't have to wait for these live streams. Anyway, so I'll give you his email address again, Never Ever. Hello, I'm GREGG at gmail.com. Just go ahead and email him, Never Ever. He'll send you the link. You just have to download something called Telegram onto your iPhone or Android or your iPad or tablet, and you're good to go. That's the sense I get, Dave. Thanks. I'm not quite sure what Dave said, but hopefully it made sense. Yeah, well, okay. Maybe I'll tell a joke I haven't told. Let's see what we have here. Okay. I'll tell you one you haven't heard. So I'm turning 69 next week. You know, getting old is, well, you know, it's not for sissies, but if you maintain your health, it's not as bad as it could be. But there are some people who defy the age process. I know a couple of people in their early 90s that they get up every day, they take a jog, they play tennis. Anyway, there was one such man who was quite active, and he was 92, but he was starting to feel a little fatigued, so he went to his doctor. His doctor examined him and wrote a prescription. About 2 weeks later, the doctor finds this 92-year-old bumps into him in the supermarket. He's walking down the aisle, beaming. He's got a younger woman walking with him, holding hands. And the doctor says, "Wow, you're looking so much better." And the 92-year-old says, "Well, I took your advice. You told me to get a hot mama and be cheerful." Doctor says, "I didn't say that. I said you have a heart murmur and be careful." My Tuesday group really thought that was funny. Okay, copy and paste works. You liked your joke. Well, I don't know which one it was. I just told a new one. Copy and paste works. Never ever. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. Sorry to hear that, Dorothy. You're very courageous. Keep going. Yes, when going through hell, don't stop. Scott Barra, the things I have to do are the things I feel overwhelmed by. And I distract myself from. So what are you overwhelmed by, Scott? Do you have a therapist? You know, when you have big things to do, break them into small, manageable parts. That's how you do things. Anthony Greco said, "LOL, he must have liked that joke about the 92-year-old. That made me laugh. That did make me laugh out loud. Very good. Okay, yes. You told me to get a hot mama and be cheerful. No, I said you have a heart murmur and be careful." All right, Larry Lester, who I haven't heard from. I've been in constant hell for a year now. I tried Kratom last summer, which I don't even know what that is. And I felt wonderful for a few weeks until depression and anxiety returned. My question is, do you know anything about Kratom? I have absolutely no idea what it is. Is it some sort of a drug like, there's a drug called ketamine, which is an animal tranquilizer that some people are using to try to treat depression. You get very, very high and feel good, but it usually doesn't last very long. That one was not bad. You're getting better. Thank you, David Starkweather. Always nice to have your compliments. Okay, I'll recycle a joke. Some of you heard of it, but I think it's very good. Why did the witch not wear a flat hat? Why did the witch not wear a flat hat? There was no point in it. Okay, I thought that was good. Citalopram is an antidepressant, says one clearly. Yes, it is. It's also called Celexa. But I don't think that's the same thing as Kratom. I'm not quite sure what you were answering, one clear Lou. Dave Piquel says, I connect with a lot of people with depression like me. I get comfort from feeling the community and a sense of purpose from being able to consciously help. I like the community. Well, of course you do. That's the whole point, Dave Piquel. That's why I've been running my support groups for 17 years. Community, community, community. Connection, connection, connection. You know, it's Valentine's Day, by the way. No one's told me any Valentine stories about any. Are there any special people in your life you're going to hang out with? Joan and I are going to go out and eat about 5 pounds of chocolate. So anybody else going to do anything tonight? Kratom is addictive. You get used to it. I still understand what it is. Okay, I'll look it up on my phone. I'm not going to be rude in text, but I guess I am going to be rude in text. Oh, somebody just sent me someone sent me a happy Valentine's message. How cool. Okay, let's go to Google and let's type in this word, Kratom. And here it is right here. Tropical evergreen tree in the coffee family. Indigenous to Thailand. Wow. FDA warns herbal supplement Kratom has similar effects to narcotics. Wow. Okay, so it's been used by the people of Southeast Asia. It's used in folk medicine as a stimulant, a sedative at high doses, recreational drug, painkiller, medicine for diarrhea, and treatment for opiate addiction. Wow, that's a lot. So, yeah, I learned something. Thank you, guys. And it does say it can be used as too high, it's a sedative, too low, it's a stimulant, and it can function like an opiate. So, yeah, you're right. One Clear Lou, misheard what he said. Thanks, One Clear, means a lot, says Dorothy Hughes. The Red Badger, haven't seen you before. I found your channel from the Big No and have been watching your videos for almost 2 years. Any advice for those struggling with depersonalization, derealization disorder? The Red Badger, I don't have much information about that. I know my psychiatrist said it's a lot like depression. So I'd say try antidepressants. Pearlie Ibanda suffers from that. She gave her email address and her phone number earlier. You may want to email and call her. Big No. He has a number of videos about depersonalization. I would suggest you go back and listen to those. everything I've learned about mental health, especially depression, anxiety, and bipolar disorder, I've gone through them all personally because I'm diagnosed as bipolar 2. I've been hypomanic, I've been suicidally depressed, and I've been so anxious I can't sit still. But depersonalization I've never experienced, except when I've been on drugs during the 60s. So I don't really have a lot of feedback, except there must be people out there who have researched it. DP is bad. Okay, Pearly Bonnet, why don't you go ahead and give your number to the Red Badger. You guys can have a discussion since you both struggle with it. Scott says, David Starkweather, distraction is a well-known trap. It can be drugs, sex, even excessive entertainment. Meditation is trying to keep yourself aware. It builds up psychological resistance. Well, I agree with you, David Starkweather. Meditation is a wonderful thing to do. You're not distracting. You're just observing in the moment your thoughts, and as they come, you come back to your breath. It's a good way to develop mindfulness, which is a really good thing to do, because when people are depressed, they're in the past. When people are anxious or worried about the future, when you're mindful, you're in the here and now. So kudos, David Starkweather, yes. But again, distraction, that can be a very misinterpreted word. I don't like the word. I would say that when you're sitting alone, home, depressed, fearful, and you call someone up and say, let's go to a movie, instead of saying distraction, I would say engagement. Engagement outside of yourself. That's what can be really, really helpful. Oscar Gonzalez, you're back again. You think that if you take of yourself, can you avoid relapse and depression, or does it just happen when it happens? Oh no, Oscar Gonzalez, if you do practice self-care, and by the way, if any of you email me, I'll send you my diagram of the 5 therapeutic aspects of self-care. If you practice self-care, you will definitely minimize the chance of relapse. Now, it can always happen because it's a recurring relapsing condition. Depression is, as anxiety, as is drug addiction. But if you practice self-care, you can cut your odds in half that it'll happen again, maybe 3/4, I don't know what. But yes, self-care, self-care, self-care. So yes, depression just doesn't wait to happen. You can do something to minimize that possibility. Dorothy Hughes says, thanks clearly, you made me giggle. I'm not quite sure what that means, but I'm glad you're laughing. His Grace is Love. You're back. I'm on 20 milligrams of Cymbalta, and I occasionally zone out for a couple of minutes at a time. I have double depression. Is this normal? I have GAD too. Well, I don't know why you would zone out. Is that the Cymbalta? That's a low dose. We have one of my group members taking 90 milligrams. So, many things could cause zoning out. Just being tired, just wanting to take a break. It may not be the drug. So I'm not quite sure if zoning out is normal. Maybe you should talk to your doctor. See if it's a side effect of the Cymbalta. I'm not quite sure what the side effects are. What is double depression? Never ever. I think it means if you have dysthymia, which is chronic low-grade depression, which is what I have, and then on top of that, you get into a major depression. Is that not right, His Grace's Love? I think it's that's what double depression is. Low-grade chronic depression, dysthymia. On top of that is a depressive episode. That's called, in my knowledge, double depression. Dorothy is, how can there be no ECT in Scotland? That's impossible. That has been a go-to treatment for major depression and schizophrenia since 1935 or the early 30s. How could it not be? Scotland's a civilized country. There's got to be somewhere in Edinburgh or Glasgow, one of those 2 main metropolitan centers. There's got to be somebody doing ECT. I refuse to believe that. Wow, it is spring in Oregon. There's tons of robins outside. There's crocuses blooming. Lots and lots of birds. It's amazing when you live in a temperate climate. Here it is in February, 14th? In Michigan, where some of our members are, listeners are, viewers are, it's still cold, cold, cold. Pennsylvania, where my friend Mike Bordner is, cold, cold, cold. New York, where my brother lives, cold, cold, cold. The Willamette Valley, 55 degrees. Enda F says there is ECT everywhere, okay? So Enda, why don't you give Dorothy Hughes your email address so you guys can get in touch with each other, so you can tell Dorothy that ECT is available and how to get it, because it has its place. I've used it. Other of my clients have used it. So Enda, please, did you look up Jordan Peterson? Not yet. Send me an email, will you? douglasblog@gmail.com. And I know you've got my email address. Send it to me and remind me. I'll look at it today. Thanks. A depressed person blames you for his woes. What is the best response? I'm trying not to take it personally, but I'm not sure what an effective response would be. Well, if someone blames you for his woes, say, I'm sorry you're suffering. Is there anything I can do to help? If there's something I've done that has offended you, let me know, but I don't really think I'm the cause of your depression. Something very compassionate, getting more information. How do they think you're, making it worse? And then gently affirming to them that they have ultimate control about how they think and feel. Larry Lee, I haven't heard from you. How do I make myself stop isolating and start a schedule? Well, I would say find a therapist, find a coach, and have that person go ahead and hold you accountable. If you can't do it by yourself, have somebody else. It doesn't even have to be a therapist. It could be your partner or a friend. Somebody outside of you needs to you need to tell your goals to them, and they need to call you up and make sure you're doing them. Anthony Greco, my anxiety's been pretty bad these few months. My work has suffered because I tend to freeze up and make mistakes. My question is, how do I calm down to think clearly in the moment? Well, how about taking a couple of deep breaths? Get up and walk around the office, do some deep breathing. There's a technique where you put your head in a sink of cold water. That'll calm you down. Mostly breathing, repetitive motion. I don't know if you can go outside and do some jumping jacks, but stuff like that. There's also benzodiazepines like Klonopin or Ativan, which can be used every now and then. So what I would say, Anthony, is go see a doctor who specializes in the treatment of anxiety. Also, see my video, How to Rewire Your Anxious Brain, and just go Google anxiety reduction techniques. You might do something. You might also put this in here. Google square breathing. See what that does. I work with public customers as well, some not so understanding coworkers well. Anthony, just see if you can look up some anxiety prevention techniques or anxiety treatment techniques and try to use those at work. Have you heard of persistent and physical discomfort, stiffness? Says Dave Pakel. I know that Dave Pakel, I know that depression has a lot of physical symptoms in the body that are not otherwise explained. So stiffness could be a reason, or it could be you're lacking some mineral like magnesium. Always go get the obvious checked out. Go to a medical doctor and make sure there's not a medical condition. For years, I've tried to solve a stiffness, pain in my right arm and hand. Doctors say there's nothing wrong. What about going to a physical therapist? What about going to a chiropractor? You might have a nerve in your neck that's not getting proper innervation to the arm. I would go to a PT or a chiropractor. Anthony Greco says, do these things when I'm away from customers, but I have a hard time in public pressure. I take antidepressants and mood stabilizers. Well, maybe, Anthony Greco, you need to maybe take some time off your job or find a place where you're not so much pressured in the public, you're behind the scenes. That might be a better fit for you if the depression doesn't, get easier. His Grace's love. I think I've had dysthymia since I was a kid. Will this low-grade depression always be present for the rest of my life? Well, yeah, the temperament, the tendency towards low-grade depression will be present, His Grace's love, but you can have a what I call, a self-care or, a mental health recovery program involving regular exercise and, social support and, finding something you're really interested in life, some way of experiencing pleasure or purpose. And these things they can tamp down at this time. It would be there in the background, but it doesn't have to interfere with your daily functioning or your ability to experience joy. So yes, dysthymia will probably be a default mechanism for you, but it's not, dysthymia does not interfere with your ability to cope and to work and to function, not like major depression. So you can have it and still get on with your life and still have moments of joy and happiness. So the whole idea is to find coping strategies, skills thoughts, behaviors that will help you to raise your mood, and that's what my book. I'm not trying to plug it. His Grace is Love, but do you have this book, Healing from Depression? It has all sorts of techniques in it that I think, it will really, really be useful for you. I mean, I wrote it myself as my own survival plan for living in hell. Larry Lester, do you think I've caused permanent brain damage from years of methamphetamine use? Well, I'm wondering if there's any help for me. I'm 55 years old. Well, Larry Lester, there's something called I want you to look this up, look up that term, Larry Lester. It's about the brain's ability to heal itself, to change itself, and to grow new neurons. So no, I have my nephew's former wife was a heroin addict for many years, is now coming off the heroin. I spoke to her today. She just seems like her old self. She's doing fantastic. So yes, the brain can heal. Look up neuroplasticity. Dave Pickell, is dysthymia a biochemical matter or is it related to painful childhood programming? It's both. You have the predisposition towards depression, and then you have, difficult things happening in childhood. They change it. So together, the predisposition plus the environmental stress or the psychological stress changes your nervous system. So it's a combination of the two, Dave Pickell. But again, in the here and now, we can do something about it. All right, we've got about 4 minutes left. I know it's normally an hour, but I got a coaching client I need to address, so in about 5 minutes we'll be checking out. Never ever, you might be trying too hard, not saying you should give up, just maybe you have too much expectations. Well, yeah, I'm not quite sure. Never ever. Yeah, I really have a lot of empathy. I know what it's like to be living in hell for a long period of time. Why don't you send me an email again? Let me know who you're seeing as a counselor. I want to know what you're trying right now. There's something called TMS, transcranial magnetic stimulation. I think you're in Utah. There's definitely that in Salt Lake City. Check out TMS. His Grace is Love, my psychiatrist said I had dysthymia, said Scott Power. He said that it was just your lower than average normal mood. It wouldn't stop you feeling elation or joy, but you default at a slightly lower mood. Scott Bauer, that's an excellent, excellent, excellent summary. You default at a slightly lower mood. I love that, which means you can still have joy and elation, but you're just a little bit on the 1 to 10 scale where 5 is normal. You hang out more like a 4 or 3.5, but you can still get up to a 6 or a 7. Any advice on when to disclose mental illness at work? Wow, that's tough. Yes, you have had mixed experience. You're right, Anthony Greco. My nephew fell into a clinical depression after divorce. He told his supervisor. Supervisor says depression runs in my family. I'm cool with it. Someone else tells their supervisor and they get laid off. So I would be very, very careful who you say that to, Anthony Greco. And just make sure ahead of time that the supervisor or the person is compassionate, knows something about mental illness, and doesn't have the prejudices like, go snap out of it. It's all your fault. All right. Once again, I'm going to give you my Patreon site, patreon.com. Check that out. Put in my name, Douglas Block, and you will go to my page. It costs money to produce these videos. I put them out every week. It costs money to have the equipment to do these live chats. So when you become a patron of this YouTube channel, you can know that you're helping good content go out, not just to yourselves, but many other people around the world who really need it. All right. One clerk says, I'm off work at the moment. Only told my editor and owners. They seemed okay with it. Yep, that's good. This gives me so much hope, Scott. Thank you. Well, His Grace is Love and Scott. Exchange email addresses. Remember, join Greg Sandler's live chat. Remember to email him. And you guys can communicate to each other in community 24/7, 7 days a week if you join his live chat community. Again, I'm really promoting this because I think Greg is doing a great job. So hello, I'm Greg at gmail.com. Whoopsie daisy. Okay, so I'm going to sign off. You guys can continue to talk with each other. After this is, I've signed off on this live chat. Exchange emails, exchange phone numbers. Peer support is amazing. The 3 steps of mental health recovery: set the intention to heal, reach out support, and treat your symptoms using a combination of mutually supportive therapies. That's it. And remember, here's recovery. Julie Hayes sent this beautiful thing. From the ashes I rise, the phoenix. Think about that phoenix bird whenever you feel hopeless. Nothing stays the same forever. What goes down must come up. And David Starkweather says, I hate the term mental illness. I do not consider it illness as much as a dysregulator of the system. And the nervous system, David Starkweather, you are completely brilliant in that statement. Kudos to you. My mother said, you know, you're sick. You're sick. What a shameful thing to tell somebody. You're sick. It means something about you is defective. I like your term, David Starkweather, a dysregulation of the nervous system. That's beautiful. No shame, no sickness, no defectiveness. Thank you, David. I want you to completely continue to share that with more people because it's absolutely true. I didn't get ECT because I have seizures? Wow. All right, well, never just copy and paste the chat that helps you. I'm not quite sure what you mean, but I actually copied this chat and after we're done and put it into a Word document so I can review your statements and see if I can help more. BX retired relapse, so are we all. But anyway, remember what David Starkweather said. The term mental illness should be replaced by a dysregulation of the nervous system. It takes away shame and blame and the sense of you're being ill or defective. So very good, David. And on that note, that's a good note to end. Scott, His Grace's love, you might experience a double depression with dysthymia. But if you're happy in your life, you'll know it's possible because you really have had dysthymia while happy too. Yes, again, I like what Scott Bauer said. Your default is a lower than normal mood, but that doesn't prevent you from having some joy and some sense of accomplishment and some good feelings. So remember the 3 steps of mental health recovery: set the intention to heal, reach out for support, and treat your symptoms using a combination of mutually supportive therapies. If you email me, I will send you a diagram from my book, douglasblock@gmail.com, or simply go to my website, healingfromdepression.com. All the information is there too. And you guys keep up the good work, support each other, and until we meet again, I wish you the best in your mental health recovery. Until we see you at Sunday at noon PST. No one mentioned Valentine's Day. Well, I hope you'll do something to celebrate it, and at least eat chocolate. It's a natural antidepressant. All right. See you guys later.